Well, hello everybody. This is my second attempt at making a iPhone video of my little bedroom N-scale layout utilizing a Digitrax 150 command system, Super Chief, and I've recently added SurroundTraxx's surround sound, which is an awesome unit. We're looking at my little tiny Kato NW2 1940s switcher, which says everything west on it. You can see now that I backed it up where I placed the speakers. These are being driven straight off the SurroundTraxx. The SurroundTraxx also has an option where you can run it like there's 6 channels available, but to me there's only 5 because I think it's imperative that you hook up channel 6 to the subwoofer. You really get the rumble and the steam chuff that way. But I'm only using 3 because this layout's only 6 foot one way and 5 foot the other way on an L. There's my short horn. As we start to pull out of the yard is sound zone 1. We'll be approaching sound zone 2 as we turn into the loop. The fader is awesome on this thing. There's settings in the SurroundTraxx where you can actually make it fade from one zone to the next or out as you go into a tunnel. The options on the CVs or the configuration within the SurroundTraxx unit is really quite awesome. I am very, very impressed. Before I set up the faders, this thing would jump from one zone to the next, and it really didn't sound as good as it sounded in the mono mode. They have a mono standalone mode right out of the box, and the only warning I can give you there is that unless you have the speakers spec'd properly, it can't drive them. And I wouldn't make any judgment about how it sounds. That's the unit you see over there. You see my cab control with the SurroundTraxx sitting on top of it as we enter the corner, and I hope I have the switch thrown properly or it's probably going to crash. Right now the sound has all moved to that speaker you see. I'm in zone 3 and all the sound is in zone 3, and as we're approaching zone 2 now, as we pass an HO scale F3 that shows the difference in size between an N gauge and an HO. It's awesome. Looks like it's an O gauge, that F3 back there. As we're entering into zone 2 now, you see the speaker that's starting to come on, and 3 is starting to fade out, and these are all adjusted in the fader configurations. Very, very important if you try to use this system that you have to use Digitrax transponding in your locomotive, and the Digitrax transponding has to be configured. Zone, I believe it's CV 60 and 64. If they're not set right, it won't transpond, and then you have to hit the F0 position, which is your light, until it starts flickering. That's the second time I've come into this switch and it's crashed. I guess my brain ain't thinking. I threw it the wrong way. As if you don't pay attention to the speakers and you just watch your locomotive, this surround system is pretty awesome. It really does move with where it should. Now we're winding down because we're going to back up, go back into the yard where we came from. Give the appropriate backup sign. It's pretty amazing. You can actually see the coupler slack as you back up into here, just like a real train. And if you want to hear what that sounds like when you couple up, that's one of many functions in the SurroundTraxx. Down here is some of my funky wiring. There's my subwoofer. There's my nightmare power mess with the BDL 168, which is the Digitrax board that actually allows for districting. Then you have to have RX4s and it's the actual current as a locomotive. There's my DT400 throttle for Digitrax. It's imperative that as you pass through these zones, you get current through the RX4, that you know what zone it is. Like example, I am now in the yard, which is zone 1 sounding. If you're going to try to use some kind of configuration, this would be zone 1 of my sound for SurroundTraxx, but it's actually zone 8, which is assigned by the RX4 as a transponding locomotive goes through it. So it's a little confusing, but you'll go into your SurroundTraxx unit in the configuration mode. You'll tell it that I want to assign to sound zone 1, I want to assign a beginning address and an ending address, in this case of 8, which is what RX4 says it is. It says it's 8. My sound 2, it says it's 10. My sound 3, it says it's 12. And if you locally address your BDL 168s, I've been told by SurroundTraxx, you'll even get some different things. So if you actually know what the transponding zones are, then it's very easy. And like, for example, I had to put in zones 5 and 6, which are what's connected to my subwoofer. I had to tell it zone 8, 10, and 12. So regardless of where the locomotive is, I'll get the rumble out. I hope this video is helpful. This was quite a learning experience for me, and I'm loving every minute of it. I'll shut my locals down, and then I'll say goodbye until it'll be the end of the Southwest. I'll see you guys some other day. Bell is now off. Power. Shutting down my locomotives. That's actually a Bachmann, which I always forget, GE something switcher. I'm really into the tiny locomotives. All right, guys, and you're looking at Kato or Kato, however you want to pronounce it. I guess it's a tomato deal. Those are California Zephyr cars, and I'll see you guys next time. That's weird. How do you get it off? 7-minute video. How was it?